Hey listeners, it's Paul Andriola here. Why not join our community at Small Cap Discoveries, where we offer our members direct access to some of the best microcap investment opportunities available. Our members are getting access to premium microcap financings, research reports, and direct access to management. Sign up today at www.smallcapdiscoveries.com.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Small Cap Discoveries call. Today in our call, we have Chairman Rob Chase back from MediaValet. MediaValet trades on the TSX under the symbol MVP and on the OTC under VRXWF. The company is trading at $2.39 with roughly 38 million shares outstanding, or about a $91 million market cap. I'd now like to hand it over to Paul Andriola.
Hey, thanks, Trev. Yeah, always great to have Rob with us. Rob, it's been about 5 months. I think we last spoke in April. Lots happening since then. So would love to have you give us a bit of an update. But before we get there, maybe just remind everybody what MediaValet is all about.
Yeah, thanks, gentlemen, and appreciate the opportunity to present to everyone here today. But so MediaValet, very quickly, we're in the digital asset management space, which basically means we're looking after all of that great content that people are creating every single day to inform their stakeholders, whether it be employees all the way through to shareholders, including customers and partners and prospects, marketing, brand, etc. All of that great content that we have to create today to reach our markets and inform our stakeholders needs a home, needs a single source of truth that can make sure we always have the right assets at the right time in the right format, connected to the right marketing tools to reach the intended purposes. And so that's what we do, digital asset management. We do it to an enterprise class use case, which means we can support a smaller organization because we're 100% cloud native and nice and easy to stand up. If you want to get going simply, our smallest customer actually is $6,000 US a year, whereas our largest customer with a full implementation of the system is $508,000 US a year. So, we've got some of the world's largest enterprises that biggest brands that use MediaValet and sometimes just a department thereof. So in any event, very important that we have the scale and flexibility built into our system that enables us to be easy to use, easy to adopt, yet sophisticated enough to be fully integrated into a customer's environment to solve for their needs, for the content to be wherever it needs to be, whenever it needs to be. And that's something that quickly, as a market, is really important for us to understand. The trend towards digitization of the organization has been ongoing for years. And in fact, in 2019, for us, that fiscal year, it translated into a fantastic year of sales productivity per sales head for us, because the market's just very demand rich. COVID has certainly elongated sales cycles, but at the same time, accelerated that trend to digital. So as we come out of COVID and as organizations get more confident to take on their new projects, we expect we'll see a return to really 2019 type of activity in terms of sales cycles, et cetera, because today what we're seeing is significant interest at the top of the funnel for our pipelines from organizations realizing, gosh, we need a DAM for the future.
I love that chart. That chart looks fantastic.
Oh yeah, me too. We want to keep it going.
Absolutely. Why don't we talk a little bit about Q2? I think that was the latest quarter that you came out with. Yep. As the chart shows, you guys keep growing. Give us a sense of some of the drivers of that growth. Clearly, like you said, everybody is moving more to digital, but did you get any big clients? Did you get any, what are the highlights of Q2?
Yeah, I mean, we announced a couple of nice customer wins, right? And anything for us, like our average value of our ARR per customer is about 28,000 Canadian. So if we have anything roughly double that or greater, usually greater than double that, we'll probably try and do a no names announcement about it. And there's the star of the show, my mascot in the background. Anyway, we'll try and do an announcement about it. And let people know a bit. But so we had a few announcements of some nice customers, but for us, it's not necessarily about just adding the large ones. And of course we want to do that more, but really, I'm a firm believer in getting singles and doubles and getting to your number as much as possible on those. They're much more predictable. If you can fill your pipeline with a bunch of singles and doubles for the sales team, get them most of the way there, then they can, they can knock over one of the big opportunities and create some real excitement and maybe get themselves into accelerators, right? So that's that's really the goal. So very happy with the balance of customers. Our ARR does keep going up per customer because we do tend to have larger and larger opportunities coming our way and more modules being adopted of the system. But again, we're also happy to sign up the the singles, if you will, the 12,500 US a year type of clients as well.
Now, something I noticed in Q2 is you made mention of this, is you guys are now starting to spend a fair bit more on R&D and basically investing back in the business. Maybe talk a little bit to that. Why now, and what do you expect from it?
Yeah, great question. And really, look, the crux of the matter in understanding MediaValet, once you understand the business that we're in, of course, is what we're up to from an investment strategy and what we're up to in terms of how we get our sales team performing, right? So really, let's start off with the sales arrowhead. And we've expanded to 8 salespeople this year. We had 6 last year, 4 the year before. In 2019, our salespeople added 750,000 US per head of new business. That's the kind of capability that those salespeople have. In 2020, they delivered more like 400 US, right? Simply because we didn't get a large win like an MBCU that we had in 2019, but also because of that elongated sales cycle that we've seen from COVID. Despite the top line pipe growing, it's taking longer for those deals to come through. But so really, it comes down to, first and foremost, how do you get those salespeople back to that 600 to 750 magic level? And really, that's about investing in R&D first and foremost. We're differentiating MediaValet in the market. Some of you might have heard us speak to our maturity model, which really we're trying to help customers be able to fully utilize DAM to completely automate their content and make sure it can reach everywhere it needs to be when it needs to be, completely seamlessly, invisibly for the average employee, but democratize your entire content portfolio so that all of your employees can leverage the right assets at the right time. But getting here takes a large investment in R&D in order to unlock this. It requires some cutting edge stuff that no other DAM organization has today, nor has even that we know of on their roadmaps today, like visual search, for example, being able to not only use AI to catalog all the assets as they come in, but be able to use visual search to actually find assets and deduplicate, etc., just using visuals, which is a huge addition to the ability to search and find anything you need when you need it. But also being able to make it fully aware and contextualized. So as we're typing away, just like when you're doing, say, a Google search and it's coming up with what it thinks you're looking for, as you're typing away on whether it's a PowerPoint or an email or what have you, it's bringing up on the side things it thinks you're looking for, all of the relevant assets, the most valued ones, the highest used ones, so that every employee has at their fingertips the right assets at the right time. That's kind of the long-term vision. It'll take us years to get there. Today, we're really focused on just maturing each customer, adding to our R&D stack, our tech stack with R&D, in order to be able to differentiate us in the market and do a better job of making sure that DAM is fully integrated to your environment and that your customers can realize the potential of DAM, which, as we've sort of talked in the past, but, an 85% reduction in their cost of their content, a 25% increase in revenue through increasing faster to market and more consistently branded, and third, reduced risk of misuse and fines and things that could happen if you're using assets that you're no longer entitled to use. So, those 3 things, DAM pays for itself, in the year of addition. So, the more we can get customers to the connected level and have the tools that support them to get there, the integrations they need to get there, the stickier our customers will be, the larger ACV that we'll get per customer, and also the more value our customers will realize and the more differentiated we'll be in the market. So that's why we're leaning into R&D, and just to understand the context of why now. Q4 last year, Q4 2020, we had a cash flow break-even quarter. We had 16 million in the bank roughly. It's time to invest in the opportunity we see ahead of us for DAM long-term. Markets and research, they've estimated that that the DAM market is going from about 3.6 billion today to close to 8 billion by 2025. So, that's a nice, healthy market for us to go after and build a sizable organization. We need to lean in heavily if we want to be that leader in that space. And so that's why, because we have the capital, we have the market opportunity, we need to get support the sales team and our vision with R&D. And the last piece of that equation, as we always do, is to make sure that we can afford the investment we make and make it to cash positive before we need additional capital beyond in terms of equity raises. So that's kind of how that calculation has gone for us.
Yeah, so clearly you said a couple of things in there that highlight how fast this industry is growing. This isn't a small opportunity for you, but you guys saw the opportunity. Other companies have as well. Maybe give us a sense of what the competitive landscape looks like right now. Are you the small fish in the sort of big pond? Are you the nimble fish in the big pond? What makes you more competitive?
Excellent, and I would put it in the nimble fish in the big pond. We're innovative. We're pure play DAM as well, which a lot of our competitors have gotten distracted along the way. They've figured, oh, let's also do workflow. Let's also do product information management. Let's also do e-com. And those water down your vision. In fact, Widen was just purchased by Acquia, which is a content management system. But Widen, they had lost their way for a while in our view. I don't think they had been growing at all. They certainly reduced the amount that we saw them in our competitive landscape because they got distracted building, product information management and workflow and lost focus on core DAM. And so I think we've had an advantage by being pure DAM and not getting distracted. At the same time, when we're in this enterprise use case space, we're competing with the large enterprise vendors, right? Which are traditional, heavy lifting, hard to stand up, long consultancy projects to get them going, difficult to realize the value and maximize adoption with, typical legacy frustrations. And then the others that we're competing with tend to be focused in the SMB to mid enterprise space with more of a packaged deal feel, plain vanilla. They check the boxes, but it's not really enterprise solution focused and flexible like us. So we kind of ride ability to sort of compete against those on value, right? And solution focused aspect of it. You can't outgrow us, for example. All the solutions will be there as you grow. And also then when it comes up against the larger organizations, that nimble feel, cutting edge, et cetera, that they can't deliver because their roadmaps are way too long and their deployments are way too long. So yeah, I would say that's our niche, if you will, how we differentiate market wise.
I'll take this opportunity to remind everybody, if you've got a question you want me to ask Rob, please use the chat function and I'll do my best to ask the question. Rob, what challenges do you face right now? What's sort of the one or two things that you'd love to see sort of barriers broken down, or just things that you want to get accomplished here?
Yeah, great question. I mean, really for us, everything's around getting our salespeople to those magic numbers I talked about. And, getting there is in part in our control and in part, the market just opening up a bit more, right? The parts that are in our control, I feel really good about that we're leaning into and investing in them. And I know that we will see that improvement in the sales team. It's really just short term is how long does that take to start being reflected in the numbers is the question that I can't answer either. When we're forecasting and modeling, we're using, kind of the muted performance level to make sure we have the capital we need. But when it trips up to even higher level, that's impossible to tell. I just feel like we're doing the right things with, for example, we just added Monday.com as a partner. They were recently on our customer conference we held just a couple weeks ago, where if you get the chance to see it, Jane Goodall did a keynote. Jane Goodall Foundation, with one of their leaders, did a keynote for us. A fantastic job of sort of capturing the opportunity. But in any event, Monday.com also spoke on that day, and it's a great chance to replicate the success we've had with Reich, who's also in a similar space. But basically, we're trying to lean into building out a bit of a marketing cluster of partners that synergistically fit together really well and help drive opportunity for each of us to win more in our respective markets. So pretty excited about those types of opportunities, as in addition to the R&D work that we're doing, is to helping that sales team inch up their productivity levels.
I mean, so many companies we talk about a challenge being just finding staff and finding sort of skilled people in the different categories you need. How are you guys dealing with that right now?
It definitely is a challenge. We've been lucky, I think. I'd say that in this respect, for COVID's actually a little fortuitous, because it's forced us all to go remote. And in going remote, we've had to learn, interesting, like we're all sitting here on Zoom now, we've had to learn how to be able to work as a team, collaborate not only with ourselves, but with our customers and partners, without that face-to-face interaction. And what that has meant is, and I think this is a shift that's happening globally, not just for us, is that organizations are going from the old world, which was, hey, the digital capability was there, but we're still a face-first organization, and all of our policies and how we approach our business support that. And if you're remote and digital, that's an afterthought, right? That's been how we've approached the world, and that's why technology has never quite reached the panacea that originally we thought it would, with untethering us from the office. In fact, what it did was just make us work more, right? So now with COVID, it's forced us to change. And what that shift is, in my view, is everybody's got to shift to a digital first assumption, a remote first assumption in their business. You hire people that way, you support them that way, etc. Now the people who are on-prem, they're almost like the afterthought, right? But what this has also meant for us, not only have we gotten adept at it, but it means that we can hire people outside of Vancouver quite easily. So it's actually expanded our labor market opportunity. And we're now about 89 people, up from 59 at the end of December. We've been able to find those people we need by being able to cast a wider net. For example, our VP of marketing is in Halifax. So, and we're okay with that. It's worked out great. So it actually, we've also been able to hire, very talented technical resources, software engineers out of locations we never would have thought of we would be doing in the past. And because everybody's being supported digitally first, it just feels like the same as if they were next door.
Interesting enough, we've had a lot of tech companies. It seems like they've been able to adopt that a lot faster. This whole idea of working remotely from home, there almost seems to be a little bit more of a trust factor with a lot of technology companies that way.
And I would actually say, and I agree with you on some of the larger ones, but as a startup, that's not generally a tech startup CEO comfort thing. Let's put it that way. So for us, it was a learning thing at the leadership level too, for all of us to be able to get comfortable with that. And I think while the technology was there, we too had to get comfortable with it. And it's interesting, the shift has happened and maybe we're more adaptable, but it just feels like all in stride now. So yeah, it shifted fast, but I just don't want to make it sound easy. There was still the reticence, especially in startup levels, to be like, no, we need to see those people, right?
Yeah.
So that is a big change.
Yeah, agreed. So one thing I noticed, you guys, you got your TSX listing. So congratulations on that, graduating. But how have the conversations changed now that you guys are TSX listed? I mean, what's different?
Well, that's an interesting question. Not much, I would say. Interestingly, I think then the reason I say not much is because we were already having discussions with a lot of the organizations that require TSX investment before they invest. So it's kind of, I think it's an evolution that has been expected to happen. And therefore, a lot of the conversations get to be, it's still a lot of the same higher level institutions that we were reaching up to, even though at that time they couldn't invest in us. They were still taking interest. So I think that there's, more ability to get some of them to come on. Obviously, I think we still got the, the magic $100 million market cap number to contend with in that front as well, to really open it up. But I do think it opens those doors for us greater, makes them actually able to invest. But I would say that the interest levels, were there before. So like anything, those organizations tend to have a long sales cycle as well, if you will, in terms of becoming an investor. I always harken back to our days at Absolute, and one of the large Montreal institutions that I'm sure everybody would know if I said the name, finally came on as an investor. They took about a $3 or $5 million investment, the first get-go, open market, etc. But I always people would be like, "Oh, great job, that's awesome." I'm like, it was a 5-year sales cycle. So I'm happy that we can actually have those conversations and know that when we do hit the triggers now, that they can actually invest and something can happen out of those meetings. So yeah.
I usually ask this question sort of at the first interview we do, and I can't remember if we did or not, but it makes sense to ask again. Rob, this is a fast-changing business. You guys are growing real quickly, but what do you hope the company looks like 3 to 5 years from now?
Sorry about the background noise there. Yeah, good question. Look, ultimately, we're continuing to lean into the business and chase after the opportunity here, right? So, today, look, we're on target for probably spending what looks like halfway through the year, 20 million for the year, right? So we're getting to that sizable business level. Analyst consensus has us somewhere around 10.5 to 11 million of ARR for the year. So closing up. And so when we look at that, it's really an interesting juncture in the evolution of a tech company. So what we're seeing right now is you see us go from 59 people to 89. For example, we have a much stronger executive force behind us. We have, the bench strength to go and consider things like the Monday.com opportunity we talked about, or truly building out the vision around our maturity model that we talked about. So, those things can't be underestimated. And I'll give you, in terms of the scale opportunity that it creates. Okay, so for example, when I was at Absolute Software, it took us about 11 years, maybe more, to get to 12 million in revenue. The next year, 22. The next year, 36. The next year, up over 40. The next year, up over 70. Okay, you look at Docebo, it took many, many years the market didn't get to see to get to 11 million US. It happened in 2016. The next year, 18. The next year, 32. The next year, 47. The next year, 74. So it isn't foregone. But what happens at 10 million is you finally have the foundation to start building that scale. So you've reached a size with a foundational snowballing, if you will, level of customers. So awareness in the market, ability to execute, sophistication, ability to go and pursue, whether it's M&A or intriguing partnerships. Like for Docebo, it was a white label with Ceridian that really moved the needle for them early on. Things like that. Absolute too, some of the partnerships really moved the needle. So I can't tell you exactly what each one is, but what I can tell you is that we're now having the right people to be able to explore those opportunities and uncover them for us in the future. So now that gets to put a little modifier, if you will, on that salesperson performance level, right? So in other words, getting back, say, to the 750 level, you start to open up some of these opportunities and things can change rapidly, right? So, so that is ultimately for us, where are we 3 to 5? Well, we're following those footsteps, right? Those other organizations.
Perfect. Yeah, if you got another absolute, I think everybody would be very happy.
The goal.
Okay, let's sort of speak to that a little bit. Now, you were an insider of Absolute, you know, investor in Absolute, so to speak, and extremely successful. You're clearly trying to make similar success here with MediaValet. But from an investor standpoint, what do you think investors get wrong when they look at tech companies and how to sort of measure the opportunity?
I think, like, for example, we spend a lot of time talking about our R&D and things, which is great, but and really important to understand why it is we're doing that. But also understanding that it is necessary and it is the right step for a tech company to realize its potential. So one of the early meetings, I remember my first meeting with Frank Mersch when I was with Absolute, and he's like, you know, Rob, one of the biggest mistakes I see is underinvesting in R&D. It's a 5-year cycle, and you can see the companies that are going to fail because, you know, if today they start investing too little, 5 years from now they're done. You know, it's just, that's what's going to happen. And he's like, and, you know, and of course, sure enough, Nortel, you know, so, you know, it was a great observation. I think that's what a lot of people miss is, you know, whether or not, like, how close the line we get with being, you know, hovering on that cash positive number without needing capital, right? You know, no matter how close we cut that line, making this move into R&D and also building out our sales and marketing capability at the same time is that's paramount. And if we can afford it, we got to do it. So I think some people maybe get scared off a little bit by that and say, oh my gosh, you know, this year we're on par for burning $9 million potentially, right? So sometimes the market gets short-term focused and, oh my gosh, right? You know, and that's maybe where it gets missed. They don't realize the compounding impact of the snowballing effect of SaaS and the rapid growth that can deliver through that investment.
Yeah, very, very well said. So as investors, us now, what sort of metrics or catalysts should we be watching out for with MediaValet, say over the next 6 months? We'll talk short term. You just said not to look short term, but yeah, let's take a short term look sort of over this next 6 months. What should we be watching for?
I think you watch for buying opportunities from people that don't understand what we just talked about. You know, like deepening, like where our cash burn is at. Like, you know, some organizations may get scared off by that and may create a buying opportunity. At the same time, and, you know, if our sales team starts to hit kind of the higher levels that we'd seen for 2019, and some of that pent up demand, if you will, starts to release, I mean, we'll know because we'll probably see maybe some more announcements on that front, or just watching the results. You know, seeing that increase in the flow, if you will, deal flow. You know, and don't forget also, there's been a US dollar headwind this year that's muted things a bit for us too. But you know, I think using those things as your indicators as to whether the thesis is coming together, and then being able to capitalize should there be any softness if you know, if those numbers scare some people. Right. I think that's probably your short term, is the combination of watching the performance and whether or not the market's yet realized it, because let's face it, our multiple on ARR is below what a lot of our peers are in the market. So at some point, you know, if that corrects, it could get real exciting.
And I mean, you do a lot of the sort of interactions with institutional investors and others. What's sort of conversation like right now? I'm just trying to get a temperature reading on sort of the institutional investor with a company of your size. You're not a large cap. You're a small cap. What are they saying as far as you guys in the small cap ecosystem?
Yeah, I think I don't think there's anything that I've heard recently that is really specific to us. It's more, are they really taking it seriously and willing to dip down below 100 million today?
Yeah.
As opposed to something systemic in the business. I think earlier on, it was harder for us to show some of the defensibility of the technology, you know, for the long term, be able to build our moat, right? And I think, you know, that's part of, you know, with us investing in R&D, talking about our maturity model and things, hoping people can understand that, hey, we're winning great deals today, but I think we can continue to win an increasing share of the market with the vision we have for DAM. And us being a pure play in that enterprise use case is building out a nice moat for us in this industry. And, you know, that's, I guess we just keep proving that. And I haven't heard that raised for a year probably. So maybe it's more apparent now. But generally, you know, that's been the most thing right now is it seems there's not as much, you know, willingness of some of those larger organizations today to dip down. I think there's interest there. We're having the meetings, but again, it's still in the sales cycle, if you will. Like I said, you know, that one I mentioned was 5-year cycle, and I think that it doesn't have to be that long. And what we're doing to help the equation is obviously to work on hopefully winning some more analyst coverage as well to broaden our reach and awareness in the market also. So we're working toward that. Hopefully we'll have some more. We have 2 today, and hopefully we'll have more. You know, in the next 6 months, hopefully we'll have another 1 or 2. Fingers crossed. Working on it. Can't control them, obviously, but there's good interest.
Yeah. No, we're seeing and hearing the same thing. There, if anything, some of the bigger money doesn't have the appetite to come down market right now. So we're seeing it sort of across the board. Listen, Rob, we sort of come to the end here. I think you've answered all my questions. We always like to give you guys an opportunity to just leave everybody with a key takeaway or just a key message that you want everybody to walk away with. What would it be?
I think we hit on most everything. You know, we're really exciting. Hopefully it came across that we're really excited about what we're building here and our ability to differentiate MediaValet and DAM, and that market is going to continue to grow. You know, we've been outperforming the growth of the market, and we're going to continue to do so with the investment we're doing. You know, the short-term stuff will fix itself from the FX headwind, from COVID impact on muting, you know, elongating the sales cycle. That also impacted net retention, brought it down back to 97% again. But you know, the good news is that I think we've churned out a lot of the customers that were at risk. And you know, you always have weak customers in your population, but what we've done is kept the strong, and we've added ones that are strong because they've added during COVID. So you know, really excited about, you know, that team getting back to 100% net retention and hopefully better with our investment in customer success as well. So yeah, we're happy with where things are. We're going to keep heads down and investing in the business again with that caveat that we want to make sure we can get to cash positive on the spend level we do. And we're just going to manage that line as tight as possible and keep charging ahead.
Rob, do me a favor and post up that the first slide that we had, that chart there.
Yeah.
There we go, that one. I think that should be the takeaway. The key takeaway is that that chart right there. You know, congratulations. I mean, you guys continue to grow. That's what every company strives for, and you're one of the teams that I see really manage the capital market side of the business as well as the business very well. So congratulations on that. Rob, if somebody wants more information on MediaValet, what's your website address?
Yeah, just rob.chase@mediavalet.com, and obviously mediavalet.com for our website. By the way, just as we go here, I'll leave it with this. Look at the cute little apes, eh? Just quickly, Jane Goodall Foundation. We're really proud of having them as a customer. This speaks to some of that R&D differentiation we spoke to. It's a 3-way partnership. We're working with Microsoft and with Oxford University and with Jane Goodall Foundation to enable AI and MediaValet to bring all of these disparate databases, like these you see here on the picture where things are located. Those are physical files. So if people want to find out what was written in the notes, they got to get someone in Arizona to go find the day, find the note, read it to them. But guess what? Often it's in Swahili. So we've been able to bring that all into MediaValet and basically enable the whole globe to access one single repository with all of that information at their fingertips. They've never had that before, right? So now think of just Jane Goodall Foundation, what they can do with that information at the fingertips. Then what we've done, which is really cool, again, getting back to this visual search type capability, we've actually taught AI to differentiate between primates. AI today can differentiate between buildings, can differentiate between people's faces, those kind of things, not primates. But Jane Goodall has 60 years of photo history of primates. We can now differentiate and identify each one by their face with facial recognition. Now photos that they didn't even know had Vienna in them will start appearing. Amazing. Now, the next step of Jane Goodall, which is going to be super cool, is, this is some of the discoveries, termite fishing, that, showed that they use tools and things. This will, and I'll put the company context here, but this will then enable the entire scientific community to access Jane Goodall's repository of information and use it for the betterment of humanity globally. Just wrap your head around that for a moment. Now,
that's fantastic.
This is something we're leaning into with some of our R&D investment, but it doesn't take long to think of how many other organizations like Jane Goodall with massive amounts of, not-for-profits with massive amounts of information and photos and things of oceans and critters and all sorts of stuff. Imagine if the scientific community around the world, humanity, could access all of that at their fingertips.
Fantastic. I love it.
Anyway.
That's great. And like I said, if you want more information, please visit the website. Rob, it's been great catching up again. Look forward to catching up in the future. And yeah, continued success. Great to have you on.
Thank you all. Have a great day.
Okay.
Thanks for the opportunity. Bye now.